Winter weather, extreme winter weather causes delays for T2 and Ridge Racer pre-orders. I read way too much into a John D comment. And of course, bourbon. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Another episode of This Week, the show where we talk about what happened last week and look forward to what is going on next week. I am looking at the live stream right now, and I'm having some difficulties. I don't know what's going on with the internet. I hope everybody can see me because I have no idea what is going on. It's a little unsettling, but we're going to keep on rolling. Let me know in the chat if you're catching this at all, because it looks like I'm just spinning. It looks like I'm just spinning. We'll give it just a few seconds. Tonight, the bourbon of choice is we're back at Jefferson's. We're back at Jefferson's because I'm moving on up to the bourbon side. It's really good. I really like it. And I know there's a lot of people that are wanting something a little bit different. They're asking for that bullet. And I need to go ahead and give that for sure. Okay, you say you can see me. All good. You're good. Maybe it's just what I'm looking at right now. Give me just 1 second. Bear with me. Tammy G, what's up? She's saying I am live. Let me go ahead and kill this. Bear with me just 1 second. My face is shiny tonight. Why am I shiny? It's a little bit weird. Okay. I apologize, everybody. This is so unprofessional. But it is what it is, right? We got to do what we got to do. Let me bring you back up here. All right. Let's go over here. Let's see if I can see this. Come on, baby. I'm giving her all she's got, Captain. If you got them, drink them. It says I'm live. Let me go click the link again. Could have been just that particular link. I'm not exactly sure. Give me a second. I'm waiting for this to come up. And while I'm trying to get all this situated, there is a poll I've posted. If you pre-order, not everybody does, but if you pre-order, let me know which of those 4 retailers you like the best. It looks like I'm there, kind of, sort of. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. You need some powder. It's the hairspray. Could be the fact that I'm just a little bit sweaty, maybe a little bit warm down here. I rock the hoodie because it's a little bit chilly throughout the day, but then man, are you sure you can see me? Let me know, because it looks like I'm just circling here. I don't know what is going on. We're going to keep on going though. So, oh man. So we talked about the poll. Please vote in the poll. Let me know what you think. We're down in Jefferson's tonight, maybe a little bit more than usual because I can't see what's going on. It is a new laptop. Maybe that's part of the problem. I don't exactly know. Wow, that is horrible. You should see what I'm seeing. It is. I hope that's not what you're seeing, actually. I hope you're seeing something that's way better than that. But we're going to keep on going. So on one hand, it's great to be back. I was in Guam for 10 days, which is technically U.S. territory. So it was technically still the States, but it didn't feel like home. Didn't feel like home at all. Okay, so you're saying that I'm golden, loud and clear. That's good. Yeah, so it's good to be back. Got back from Guam, and I was actually talking to somebody while I was in Guam, back here in the States, close to home, and I picked up a pinball. I officially am part of the, not the suckers, not the people. I didn't pay $750. I actually bought this for $500, and I use suckers as kind of a joke. I'm just poking. Must be in 4K mode. No, maybe I am. I don't know. I don't think so. I didn't think I was. But that could be part of the problem, huh? 4K is just struggling. Wasn't trying to do 4K. I mean, I'm just that good. Maybe it saw that I was doing this and said, hey, you know what? This guy needs to be in 4K. But we're going to keep on going. And yeah, so I got my hands on a pinball machine for $500. It was the Attack from Mars. I can't wait to mod that bad boy and have all 30, tables on there. Listen, it's an exploit, and I'm going to exploit it. That's just the way it's going to be. Man, this is really bothering me. This is really bothering me, guys. I'm sorry about that. So yeah, so there's that. And, so I got that. That's good. And then I come back, get that unloaded, get that at the house, and then get on live stream with a bunch of other YouTubers and proceeded to get my ass kicked. I did. It's okay. There's no shame in my game. And it was on the cabinet that I love, probably the second most. It's okay. I don't mind it. It is what it is. I had a lot of fun, and I think we raised a lot. I think it was like $2,000 we raised for charity. So that was pretty awesome. That was definitely awesome. Man, are you sure? Let me know in the chat if this is okay. If I need to maybe change this, if there's a setting that I need to change real quick, because I did not think I was going 4K tonight. Wasn't going to try that, but the picture does look really good. Looks really clear. Let me see if I can adjust this. I should just be going. Yeah, I'm just 1080p, so it could just be me. Okay, so we're gonna keep on going. I'm gonna try not to be so self-conscious. So yeah, so I come back, I get my ass beat. We raised $2,000 for charity, for kids, and it was. I'm telling you what, it was something that was kind of close to my heart. So it was no big deal at all to donate, and I'm glad that I wasn't the only one that was touched and moved by the charity. Comes to kids, come on, and Mo is a great guy. But when it comes time to play, when it comes time to do what you got to do, you do it. You go to work. And that's exactly what we did. We went to work. He didn't hold back on me. And, yeah, I held back on him. No, I didn't. I really tried. I tried. I'm going to shut that off. I'm just going to look at the chat right here. And I, he's just good. I think there was one time where I almost had him. One match. Didn't work. But so that just means I got to step up my game. Just means I got to step up my game. And I'm going to continue to do that. I've been more of a beat 'em up guy, but I mean, it's just fun. These games are just fun. Had a good time. Did move on, but that's okay. Well, I didn't move on in the bracket, in the tournament. I moved on emotionally. There are some scars. It's a little bit of bruising, but I'm hanging in there. Who do we have in the chat real quick? Now that I have messed around with all this technical stuff, I apologize. Let me scroll back over. Yeah, see, the chat is just thumbing along. It's doing good. It's just up there wasn't working. I got a monitor up there. I got to smack around a little bit. Jason says Road Blasters, Afterburner, Smash TV would be day one buys for me. There's a reason why I put that in the thumbnail. There is a reason. Floppy Disk Master. What was it? 5-inch or 3.5? Which floppy disk are you? Let me know. Either Journey or Moonwalker would be must-haves for me, but I'm sure those licenses are even more out of reach than Nintendo. That's probably the number one speed bump, the number one Achilles heel for what Arcade One Up is trying to do. 8-Bit, what's up, brother? Hello, Fox. Everything Jason just said is awesome. Yes, Jason said a lot of awesome things. He absolutely did. What's going on, man? What's up, everybody? Good evening, ladies and gents and ladies, everybody. Ridge Racer and T2 ordered yesterday from Best Buy. No delay email. We'll get to that. Yes, my heart is breaking. And some people took that to mean, Angel, it has begun. Yes, it has begun. Some people took my thumbnail to mean that all cabinets were delayed. That was not my intent, but I can understand why you could sort of get that. Not all cabinets have been delayed. What we got going on here is, well, let's start at the beginning. Shall we? It was a great day. It was last week, and I got the email. I got the update actually saying that, hey, you're gonna get this thing by the 5th. That was great because I originally thought it was going to ship by the 5th. So to get it by the 5th, awesome. Great thing. I'm in Guam. I come back just a few days before this happened. This is the 19K Fox Weather Tracker Center, and you can see we've got some precipitation, some stuff going on here. So what you're looking at, the dot in the middle with my name represents my location, geographically speaking. Right there in the tri-state area, Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, right there. You can see there's a lot of stuff going on. The colors, they're not good, kids. They're not good at all. What we had was and I'm sure some of you have experienced this too, so I don't feel like the Lone Ranger. You have just a lot of rain, and then immediately a little warm snap kind of sliver in the middle, and then boom, the temperature fell, and so came the snow, and it just continued. What that did was just destroy everything. I have several family members that work for FedEx. FedEx, the global supply shipping company. Also the same shipping company that ships all Best Buy stuff. So that it kind of went from bad to worse there. So then I started getting these bad boys here. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So what happened was I was notified that my pre-order status changed from pre-order to packaging. They were boxing it up, they were ready to go, and then they were going to ship it out. I also got the same thing for Terminator 2 right there. You can see that little pre-order date up top, January or November 1. So long ago. Been really excited to get my hands on these. It's kind of been like wait like a kid on Christmas, right? Um what's going on, Pete-ups? Glad to see the swelling from that beating has gone down. Well, some of the swelling started with the face, icing this down, and then everything else is just it's almost back to normal. Still walking with a little bit of a limp, but I might. So we had, hey, we're gonna ship it. I'm sorry, not shipping. We had pre-order, switch to packaging, which I don't know that I've ever seen that status before, but that just means, hey, we're putting the box we got from RK1 up, I guess, in another box, and we're getting ready to ship it to you. Just wait. Great, awesome. Supposed to get this thing, it was gonna ship out maybe Friday. Then, well, okay, Saturday it's definitely going out for sure. Now you see the current status. I just checked it before the live stream started. This is where I'm at right now with my cabinets. I did check with this doesn't mean that all the cabinets are delayed. Obviously, I saw some comments where, hey, some people already have these. What are you talking about delayed? That's not what I meant. I didn't mean they were all delayed. Probably everybody, though, on the little weather map, the 19K Fox Storm Tracker Weather Center, everybody probably in this area may be affected by this if you've got these pre-orders, especially if you've got them, from Best Buy, FedEx. I can't imagine anybody else is probably going to get these on time too. I think UPS and FedEx are sort of in the same boat. What they did is they shut down all the FedEx sorting facilities and everything, so it just sort of paused everything. Everything stopped. So this is where I'm at right now. No, these cabinets are available. This email or this status update is kind of deceiving because what it says here is we're working on shipping this item. It's unlikely, but if the item isn't available, which is kind of weird, you said you were packaging it. How were you packaging it if you didn't have it? I think maybe it's just a terminology that they're using in this email. I think it's available worldwide or whatever. This side of the planet, this hemisphere. I think that they're still available. Some people, obviously, Michael B got his. He picked his up in store. He didn't pre-order it. He cheated. He is not in the Illuminati. He is the Illuminati. Therefore, he was able to pull some strings. Don't let him lie to you. just kidding, Mike. Love you. So happy for you. So happy for you. And then P-Dubs, actually, I think he has his from Best Buy. Ridge Racer, he has his from Best Buy. And, here we go. Let's get a live update from him because last thing I heard from him was that it was actually going to ship and he's going to get it Monday. And looks like, hey, you checked your emails since this morning? Yeah, I received an email this morning. Saying T2 was delayed. And this afternoon, a second email with tracking. Okay, so it's shipped. So see, there you go. So he is over in Arizona, drier climate, probably didn't see any snow, hopefully. And so he's going to get his just fine. For those of you that, here we go. Bozo, what's up, man? My T2 is coming by Friday. Okay, coming by UPS. There you go. I could still get mine by Friday. I guess they said it's possible I could get this thing as early as Wednesday. We will have to wait and see. I have been waiting for these two cabinets for a long time. Probably T2 more than Ridge Racer, but I think I'm equally excited about both because Ridge Racer has the additional games. There's more content there. There's more for me to enjoy and explore. And I have a long history with Ridge Racer. You go back to PS1, but I think I spent more time with Ridge Racer actually on the PSP, believe it or not. I got a big, if you've seen some of my Instagram pictures, I have a big collection of, not a complete, but a very extensive collection of PSPs. And I've played, that was one of the first games I ever bought for the PSP. I bought it in UMD format, then I downloaded it, and I just love that game. Really arcade-ish, arcade game, really fun to play. Played it in the arcades. I actually owned a Ridge Racer 2 cabinet, one of the two actual real cabinets that I ever owned before I decided to get out of the full-size gig, switched to not the 3/4 scale. I was actually spent a little time in the multicade area, and then I fell out of love with that. And then when these came along, the rest is history. So those two I'm really excited about. T2, they're both sort of checking a big box for me. I got to have a shooter. I got to have a racer in my arcade. I think most of you would probably say the same thing. If you could only have a couple cabinets, let's say you could only get 3 or 4, you want some variety. You don't want just fighters. Fighters are fun. But hey, quick question. What if you're not good? Asking for a friend, not me. I'm great, also on purpose. But what if you're not maybe the best at fighting? You want a little bit of variety, right? So there you go. That was one of the great things about the arcade, is to get something that you couldn't really get at home. They're mimicking it better now at home, but still, that was a unique arcade experience for so long. So these two I am super excited about. So anyway, that's the latest on these two. I do believe this is going to be just a regional thing. It's probably a large part of the North America is going to be affected. Half the country, I don't know, maybe not. I think that what happened was up in Canada, they were able to get theirs in before this weather situation happened, which is probably why Michael B was able to get his hands on that. No, he's not really in the Illuminati. He didn't pay his dues. They kicked him out. It's kind of sad. Kind of sad. Got a $2 super chat from Hobby Hands. Question. My Walmart has Hobby Hands. You're just trying to come in and just stick the knife. You're just twisting it, man. You got 4 T2s in store, almost purchased. There you go. We have a Walmart that's got some freaking T2s in stock. So there you go. So this is just great. So happy for you, wherever you are. Hobby Hands, $2 super chat, first one of the night. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate it. And just because you came in, just because you twisted the knife, I got to send you to the pit. Finish him.
Molina wins. Flawless victory. Fatality.
And again, he follows it up with another one. Hold on, let me remove that. He follows up with another super chat of $2. Just joking, having fun with your pay. Oh, wait, no. You did that. Your Walmart does not have T2s in. As if I didn't have enough pain in my life with the moat ass beating that I took, and now you coming in and finding out that everything's delayed, and thanks for the super chat, though. Really do appreciate it. And you know what? Hey, you know what? Wolverine says hi. Weapon X for that ass. Hey, so okay, T2 Ridge Racer will eventually be here someday, and I will bring you those reviews, those very thorough reviews, complete. I'm probably going to knock those out pretty quick. I want to get those out to you. I've been waiting long enough. I want to, we're going to make them kind of tight and concise, but I'm going to do it similar to the other reviews. More similar actually to Big Blue. I liked the portion of the video where I actually showed you kind of an exploded view of the cabinet itself. So I'm going to have this thing laying down, assembled with one of the side panels off, so you can get an idea of just the construction. How is this going to be different than your other cabinets you might have at home? We're going to take a look at the PCB just for a good reference. And for T2 specifically, I am going to have one of the guns cracked open for the review. So if you want to know about all that good stuff, pay attention to the channel. Make sure you're subscribed, and you're going to get I hope you're going to get all your questions answered. It will definitely be a review that I'm proud of, because I don't want to give it to you subpar. It's got to be top tier. I've been talking about this long enough. I think I owe it to you. So there we are. There's that. Gabriel Gray, what's going on, brother? The first T2 owner, as far as we are aware, picked up Big Blue. You pick up Big Blue tomorrow. This is you being happy, is what that is. I think that's what that is. That's the symbol. Good to hear, man. I think you're going to like it. I think you're really going to like it. Big Blue's fun. It's got a really good variety too. It's not all Street Fighters. You got some good. You got some good stuff in there. You got some wrestling. You got some beat 'em ups. So it's a good mix. It's a good mix. How to bachelor? How do you bachelor? Well, this guy tells you how to do it exactly right here. Do you ever Maker's Mark, bro? Of course I do. But sometimes the wax gets in my teeth. because you got to open the. So just kidding. I don't open it that way. I use my toes. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. I appreciate it. And you know what? Why don't you say hi to Chun Li? I know you're a bachelor, but those hips, Chun Li, make you change your mind. Thanks again for the $2 super chat. Fatal J, what's up, man? All Foxes in the house, absolutely. Fox, you have a new cam? Yes, I do. Actually, no, I just showered. This whole time I didn't know you're supposed to bathe before a live stream. No, yeah, new camera, new computer. Obviously working through some technical issues on the beginning. I don't know what the heck was going on with that. I'll get that figured out for sure. All right, enough of my pain. Let's talk about something else that I posted. Posted a video talking about. Well, let's go ahead and jump into it. This guy right here, the Pong pub table. It's no secret that I'm not a big Pong person. It wasn't necessarily before my time. I'm not that young, but I just didn't really. It didn't really scratch an itch for me. And by the time I got into video games, I was towards the tail end of Atari, and Nintendo was really taking off. So that was kind of where I was at. The 8-bit era is really where I consider my first start into video games. So Pong really didn't do it for me. I loved the 4-player game on here. I forget what it's called. Warlords, something. I saw the gameplay. That was interesting. I like the uniqueness of this form factor and the fact that you could have, it's possible to have 4 people playing at once. But I don't know. I posted a video because the price dropped to $3.99. I thought that was a really good deal. But what I opined in the video was that, hey, is this form factor dead? What I mean by that is obviously we haven't seen it used with any other games, just these older games. It is, the price is coming down. I haven't seen a ton of videos. I've seen some people out there that have these, but I just don't know that this form factor is really being utilized. So is it dead? I've had some comments about, well, listen, it's only made for the Pong and the games list that are included. That's it. Well, if that's the case, then it is dead. If it's a single purpose item. I don't think that's the case, though. I don't think that's the case. I think we've seen them take RK1UP, take these form factors, whether it be upright cabinets, cocktail cabinets, countercades, and milk them for all it's worth. Throw out there different form factors, but different software combos to try to see what's going to stick, right? And I think they've had some hits. They've had some misses. I'm not a big fan of the cocktail cabinets. I bought one. I had a black. I actually just sold a Black Series, the Street Fighter one, the one with 87 Street Fighters and like Final Fight. It was like half and half, right? But I think the problem with that is not necessarily the overall size. It mimics that original size, which is great. I like the original size. It's very, very short, so you really have to lift it up. You have to. I mean, it's, smaller kids don't seem to have an issue. 6-foot guys like me have an issue. I just didn't, for whatever reason, I really couldn't get comfortable. So you have to lift it up. And once you do all that and get that ready, the 17-inch monitor in the middle is just a little too small. You're a little too far away from it. I found myself leaning in way too much. But what if you took this same form factor and let's say, okay, the 4-player was cool, but how about we just do a 2-player version? And how about we put some puzzle games in there? I used Puzzle Fighter as an example, but really more casual games. What about sports games? Something, because I'm thinking of games that have a minimal amount of controls. I'm not talking about full 6-button, fighting games. Things like, Puzzle Fighter was one. 10-Yard Fight is something else that I thought would be kind of it's a simplistic football game. It's got minimal controls. Really just need a stick and I think a button, or maybe 2. I think it was just 1 button, maybe 2. Anyway, but you see what I'm saying? You got minimalistic controls. Even Pac-Man. I'm sure we would see a variant. Pac-Man, I'm sure, is going to be coming. Bozo says, yeah, I'm packed out. I know. I say that because they're probably going to throw that in there. But seriously, I think if you take this form factor and you say, listen, let's do something. I think they're onto something. I like the idea of it because, first of all, right off the bat, you can tell you're closer together. The two, the distance between you and the screen is much reduced, greatly reduced, versus the cocktail versions. If you're going to stick with the cocktail version, they got to go with a bigger screen, I think, to really make that make sense, make it more fun, more engaging, I guess would be the right way to say that. Here, you're a little bit closer. You can rock that 17-inch monitor, and you're a little bit closer, a little bit tighter. To me, it sort of makes some sense. I see some people saying, yeah, so Zod Rider says 10-yard fight is on iArcade. That's true, but that will be a different form factor. That would be more of your traditional upright. I'm thinking of taking this and really focus on super casual games, but they don't have to be as graphically limited as Pong. Take one step forward, not two or three, and maybe Puzzle Fighter. I don't think Puzzle Fighter, while graphically a quantum leap forward from Pong, not a lot of controls going on, not a lot of crazy action. It's a puzzle game. So it kind of makes sense. 10-yard fight would be something not graphically challenging, but simple. Anybody can just, when you're standing there, maybe there's a pool table, maybe there's just a bunch of people watching TV, sports, whatever, something's going on, and this is just sort of there. Anybody can lean on this thing with a drink and look at a game and just say, hey, let me just play this for a second. That's where I'm thinking they could kind of go with this. Let me scroll up because I think I just had another super chat. I do not want to let this go. How to Bachelor, again, for the $2. If I hadn't bought ALU Mini recently, I'd buy Pong. Well, there you go. I think that also speaks to another issue, right? Market saturation. Is Arcade1Up maybe putting too many things out there? Too many form factors? That's a sort of the flip side of the same argument. Thanks for the $2 super chat, man. And what else do I got for you? You know what? I think it's time for a little bit of Killer Instinct. Here you go. Thanks again for the $2 super chat, man. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, that's kind of the flip side of the same argument. But I think that they could take this form factor and they could push it, right? Push it to the next level. Not necessarily just putting different games on it. I mean, like the actual next level. What if? That's kind of crazy. Bear with me. What if you combine these two items? What if a 17-inch or maybe even a 19-inch infinity table inside the pub table form factor? What do you think? Let me know. Is it a little bit weird? I don't know. Maybe. I think it's the same. I'm sort of thinking along the same lines of casual, right? And if it's going to be a touch interface, maybe we eliminate the controls completely. There are no buttons. Maybe I don't even know if you would even need any buttons at all other than a power switch, because I've noticed something with some of the reviews that I've seen when it comes to the Infinity Game Table. If you've got the Infinity Game Table and you paid $1,000 for the 32-inch, now you got to pay another $200 for the battery, or you're stuck tripping over a power cable. So what if this guy is sort of sitting in a corner, maybe next to a wall? It's 2 players, or I guess if it's an Infinity Game Table, it could be 4 players. And maybe 17 inches is a little too small, but if we remove the controls on this same size tabletop, now we can go bigger. Now we can go, could we fit a 24-inch on here? I think it's possible. But maybe to keep costs down, you don't go 24, you go a little bit smaller, 21. I don't know. But I think maybe that would be a better use of, what's the sales numbers on these things? That's what we don't know, right? What's the sales numbers on the 32-inch Infinity Game Table? How many are they selling? Is it too expensive? Okay, so there's a reason right there. We want to scale the Infinity Game Table down. Okay, well, why are we scaling it down? Well, nobody's buying it. It's too expensive. Well, what do we do with it? Where do we put it? You put it in this. You put it in the pub table, and there you go. I think it would be super. It's the same thing, the same scenario. You're in the game room. You got a bunch of people over, and it's the same sort of an impulse. There's not a learning curve. With a fighting game, you got a learning curve. Fighting games can be very intimidating for some people to just jump in and go. Well, the same thing could be said with some of the beat 'em ups too. I don't know the controls. It's kind of weird. There's 4 people crowded around an Arcade1Up. I don't know. But this is that same sort of casual lean into it and anybody can play. Maybe it's an Infinity Game Table with a limited library, to try to maybe cut some of the cost out. But I think it's I guess the major point that I have is that while I think it's possible that the form factor could be dead, I don't think that's to say the form factor could be saved. I think it could definitely be saved. And I think it could be utilized in maybe a different way. Start with just different games. And then maybe we think about combining the Infinity Game Table with it. Now, maybe if the sales of the Infinity Game Table are awesome, if they're knocking it out of the park, okay, well, then maybe it's a moot point. Maybe you leave that alone. But if they're not, if those sales are struggling, why don't we why don't we hit the microphone? Let's do like a fusion dance. Let's just combine these bad boys together and make something that maybe could be really awesome. Would that be over $1,000? I think you got to keep it sub 1,000 for sure. We're talking about a 21-inch screen, same sort of interface. You're losing controls, so you're cutting some costs there. I think it's possible. And yeah, I think I see somebody right here, Ryan Battles. I want a pub table with the cocktail style controls under the tabletop that is tall enough to be used as a real breakfast table. And here's the thing that I saw that I wanted to point out: a glass top. Original renders, original conversations about this were that the top of the pub table was going to be completely covered with a solid piece of plexi. That ended up not being the case. And the only thing that was covered with plexi was the actual screen itself. The rest of it was just, MDF covered with the vinyl. That's dangerous. You spill a drink, oh, you're done. Maybe the monitor's okay, but, you're going to damage that wood fairly quickly. A single solid slab of, at the very least, plexiglass. I think you want to go glass. I agree with you. You got to go glass because, plexi is going to smear and scratch very, very easily. You don't want that. You don't want that. So spend a little extra money, have the glass, go with a 21-inch screen, make it an Infinity Game Table. Well, I guess if you do that, you can't have the glass, can you? It's a touch interface. So go with the controls, different game set, and there you go. Your idea of cocktail style controls underneath, I don't know how I feel about that. That may be a bridge too far but then again, maybe not. It's kind of like a lift kit for a cocktail table, right? And if the cocktail cabinets are selling well, which I tend to think that maybe they are because they keep coming out with different iterations, different versions of it. I mean, they're putting stuff in cocktails that were never cocktails before. Marvel vs. Capcom, I don't know that was a cocktail cabinet. Pretty sure it wasn't. Pretty sure Mortal Kombat wasn't either. But they're putting them in there. Why not do the same thing with the pub table? Start with a different games list, different controls, see if that works, and then you go from there. $5 super chat from Tim Z. I have this table. And what is cool is 4 people can comfortably stand around it. It takes up less space. That's crucial. It takes up less space than the game table and the head-to-head. There you go. There you go. I think that's why I think that the form factor is not dead. I think the form factor has some promise. It has some potential. Tim Z, do you find yourself bored with the games? Do you want something a little more, next level? Maybe something along the lines of a puzzle game. Ask yourself that. Let me know in the chat. But I think you're right. I think you're bringing up a lot of good points. That's like I say, is it dead? I don't think so. If it's dying, it can be resuscitated. We can bring it back to life. We can hit it with the RK1-Up CPR, and it can be resurrected. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. And you might want to bundle up. It's gonna be a little bit chilly.
Finish him. Sub-Zero wins. Flawless victory. Fatality.
So the preaching on that is done. Now let's go to something else. Let's go to something, like I said in my intro, this is the time that you watch me make a mountain out of a microscopic organism. As part of the live stream Friday night, everybody's fighting, everybody's having a good time. At the very end of the live stream, we had a comment. We had a comment by John D. Let me get one of these out of here real quick. We had a comment by John D. And I don't think that everybody caught that. It wasn't highlighted during the live stream. It was towards the very end of the show. Very end of the show. And it was actually at the 4-hour and 7-minute mark. Congratulations on having a live stream go that long. That was awesome. But anyway, here was his comment. And he said, this year will be hype with new titles. I hope it's more new titles than hype. But That was the comment. And I said, hey, feel free to let us know on my channel, of course. Hey, John D. Now, John D didn't message me back. That's okay. That's okay. It's all right. I don't need to be acknowledged. My feelings aren't hurt that much. Not as bad as the rest of me from the ass whooping and the hurt feelings. But anyway, so I thought that was an interesting comment. And John was in there all night long, having a ball with everybody else, enjoying the fights. It was a good time. A good time was had by all. This year will be hype with new titles. Sounds great, but you know what that means? You know what that means is that I can't. There you go. What that means is that they haven't begun to announce stuff, because everything that was announced this year so far, the 4 CES announcements, were not new titles. They were not new titles. They were rehashes of legacy cabinets and the new Pro line, which was technically a new form factor, a new cabinet with the same games list. No new titles. Everything else in the other legacies were combinations of titles that already came out. No new titles. So when does this hype train begin? What can we expect to see? What the hell is going on? I know that we talk a lot about what we want to see, what I want to see, what you want to see, what everybody wants to see. But let's be realistic. Let's talk about what could we potentially see realistically, not based on just what I want, because what I want isn't the most important thing, and not necessarily what you want. It's what everybody will buy. Something is only worth what somebody is willing to pay for it. So you can't just come out with anything and slap $1,000 on it for a price and sit back with your arms folded and watch the money roll in. It doesn't work that way. If nobody's willing to pay for it, then they're not going to take the chance on making the cabinet. But what can we look at based on their history, what they've built before, what we think is out there as far as the appetite, what do we want, and then sort of surmise what's coming. And I already see some of y'all in a comment. How to Bachelor talking about Killer Instinct, so many issues. Well, that's not good. I don't have it yet. But yeah, it's not good to hear. So let's start with some of the comments I see already. Some of the comments, one of the biggest comments, one of the major rumors, one of the things that other YouTubers have flat out said it's coming, and it is the Blitz Question. It is the Blitz Question. Oh, the Blitz Question. So the Blitz Question is, it's becoming more of an enigma, because I think we all understand that graphically they can do it. We know graphically that Arcade 1-Up can make this game happen. They're doing much more, not just graphically as far as a processor and pushing a graphical power or meeting the needs, the requirements of a highly graphically demanding game, but they're doing things like Wi-Fi. They're doing things like online play with, now I'm not talking not just leaderboards. I'm talking about actual online head-to-head fighting with spectator mode on some of the cabinets. Not others. We know about Spectator Gate or Spectate Gate, however however the hashtag goes. So I think that the question of is it possible? I don't think it's even a question. I think we know they can do it. Is it going to be 2 players? Is it going to be 4 player? They can do either one. I mean, they pulled it off, right? So if it's 2 player, 4 player, it's a moot point at this juncture. I think that it's always going to come down to licensing. NFL, the NFL, American football is a pretty popular. Let me just block a few of these users. I apologize. And there we are, coming in here with that nonsense. It's the NFL is more profitable, more valuable than the NBA, because the immediate thing you want to say is, okay, well, we got NBA Jam. So obviously, they were able to figure that out. They were able to figure out the rosters. They were able to figure out all that other stuff. Of course, they can make NFL Blitz work. Come on, what's the problem? I think it is a question of value at this point. I think the price is probably a little bit higher with the NFL than the NBA. NBA numbers are down. I haven't seen the local or the latest numbers on everything, the latest stats. But I think that it's fair to say, on the outside looking in, if you look at everything else going on, that I think that the NBA is not as valuable as the NFL. The stock is down slightly. So there's a price to be paid there. And then we talk about with the licensing. And I say, oh, it's all the players, and you got to get the rosters. And oh, well, the rosters won't matter because the NBA, we don't have Jordan. There's no Jordan on NBA Jam, but that was okay. We didn't care. True. And I think that because there's a whole hell of a lot more players in the NFL, it's probably going to be less of an issue for some. But I'm a huge Cowboys fan. I'm going to know if Troy Aikman's not on the team. Most younger people aren't going to even know who the hell these players are, right? But those that are going to go out and buy the Blitz cabinet are going to be familiar with those rosters. And, I think whereas you really only had the top two players on NBA representing each team, right? NBA Jam, top two players. They had to get those names. And of course, those two players were the biggest names. With NFL Blitz, you've got more players. It's not going to be quite as crucial, but you're still going to have, I think the quarterback is definitely the one that you've got to get right. You've got to lock down the licensing. You've got to be able to get the name of the quarterbacks. The receivers, you can kind of it's going to be an issue, right? If I don't have my receiver, if I don't have my running back. But then again, this isn't exactly a simulation. This is an exaggeration. This is crazy over the top football. And one thing to think about too is some of these players, well, all of these players, for the most part, I don't think that any of them are still playing. Everybody's retired. So you could have, once you get over kind of the NFL hurdle, then you look at now you're paying guys that are retired. The salaries aren't going to be that high. These guys aren't on Madden. I mean, they don't have that Madden money requirements. So maybe it won't be quite as bad. Okay, well, that's definitely a plus. And maybe you could even go so far as to get rid of NFL altogether and just say Blitz. It's just Blitz. There is no NFL. You can have a football, but it's not NFL. You could do that. I think at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the gameplay has to be 100% accurate before you even blink an eye, before you bat an eye. It's got to be 100% accurate. So the gameplay's got to be good. The rosters have to be stacked. And then you're going to have to get the quarterbacks. Because what do they say? Aikman to throw, I mean, it's always, you always got the name of the quarterback as part of the game. So I think that's going to be pretty crucial to do. You got to do that. And I think that's that's the hang up. That's where we're at right now. I think that Blitz, it is one of the games that has been on the lips of everybody that, once we saw the potential, once we saw NBA Jam, everybody said the next one is going to be Blitz. It's going to be down to licensing. I think graphically, we know they can handle it. We know they got the controls down. They're pretty simple. We're going to have good controls. Well, we're going to have RK1 level controls, but that will be there. That will be good enough. It'll be adequate enough to replicate that. So you got that. Okay, that's good. I think it's going to come down to licensing. So the Blitz question is going to be, like anything else, money, right? But I think specifically licensing. If they can get past those hurdles, if they can get past those roadblocks, I think that there's a good chance that Blitz could happen, and it could happen this year. If you're looking at the hype, right? John D said hype for all these titles. If you're looking at a bunch of titles, they can't all just be fighters. There's going to be, I think, a good variety of games. When you talk about sports games, this is one that deserves its own cabinet. Everybody's jonesing for it. I think it's going to happen if they can get the licensing correct. And that's it. That's the number one. My brother P-Dub's in the house, and he's giving out great advice. Once again, listen, smash the like button. It costs you nothing, and it makes a big difference on this channel. Definitely. So smash away. Smash away. Okay, so we got the hype train gone for now. As far as Blitz, I think it's kind of the worst kept secret. We know that's out there. So hype, I don't know if hype really adequately describes what everybody thinks of Blitz. We know it's coming. Just a matter of time. Get past the licensing issues. You'd be good to go. Something else I think that may be, at this point, a far gone conclusion is going to be Capcom. Capcom's offerings. Now, listen, we know it's well documented. I got a cab behind me. There's other cabs out there. We know that they can pull off CPS2 no problem. Those games can run without a flaw, without an issue. Even so much so that you can have those fighting games online, head to head. It works great. No issues, no problems. But there's so many games CPS2 related that they have left on the chopping block. They're on the cutting room floor. They haven't made it onto a cabinet yet, and it's crazy. I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I want to bring this up again over here. I've got the Capcom Home Arcade. These games were actually released by Capcom in a home arcade form factor in that arcade stick. And these were the games. Obviously, you know me. Number one is going to be AVP. Number one is going to be AVP. And just so we understand completely, here we go. Let me show you this. Let me remove this. We're still on watch. It has been 797 days since we've had a CPS2 game release from Arcade 1-Up, and still no Alien versus Predator. It is a crime. It is a crime against humanity. We shouldn't allow this to go on any longer. I can't believe it's gone on this long. But you've got some really good games on here. Alien versus Predator, Armored Core, Giga Wing, Ghouls and Ghosts, which is it's okay. It's okay. Not my favorite, but it's okay. Cyberbots is really good. Captain Commando is awesome. It is awesome. If you like beat 'em ups, if you like fighting games, this is kind of a combination. Pro Gear, Mega Man Power Battles. We got this, kids. You know, we got the cheapo 8-bit, Mega Man. Okay, so we've seen them do Mega Man. We know the relationship is there, but we want Mega Man Power Battles. We want a really good Mega Man game, and I think that's possible. And these are just some of the CPS2 games that are still out there. We know that Capcom has released. They got to make their way to a cabinet. So I think that they will be sprinkled into a future Big Blue iteration is what I'm thinking, right? So there you go. Okay, I won't go on until I acknowledge Open Ice is a great sports game. And that is definitely, we got a lot of Canadians that buy these products. And not only, not only Canadians like hockey, but, all Canadians like hockey. So there you go. It's like a fact. You can look it up. It's in the Geneva Convention. But then you got also something we talked about a couple weeks ago. We got all of CPS3 games. You could put these on one freaking cabinet if you wanted to. You really could. You probably would cut it up a little bit. You'd probably just have Street Fighter 3, all of them, and then maybe Red Earth, and then I think JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and then JoJo's Adventure. Those two games are weird enough to get their own cabinet. I think. I don't know about the North American draw for those games. They're very cool, but very unique. So let's say for now you have one CPS3 cabinet and all these games are on it, and the headliner is obviously Street Fighter 3, but you get all this goodness on one cabinet. That's just low-hanging fruit, in my opinion. Come on, that the fact that hasn't happened yet, we haven't seen at least one of those, especially when you're talking about Red Earth. Red Earth never got a console release, never. The only time I think that we saw anything from Red Earth in a home console version is that Capcom Fighting Evolution, where you had some of the Red Earth characters in the game, but they were only part of it. It was kind of a chopped up, bastardized version of, I think, a better game that could have been made, but they were part of it. But no home port in any way, shape, or form. It's a crying shame. It's sad because that's because Capcom. It's good stuff. They know how to fight. Interesting characters, interesting story. It's really good. So there's that. I think that's coming. Well, I think they're coming in some form. CPS3, I don't know. I know that I think there again, graphically they could pull it off. Graphically they could handle it. They got the horsepower, they can do it. But I just don't know how that's going to happen. This year, maybe not. All those other games, I think they're going to make their way. They're going to make their way onto some sort of new legacy cabinet. Maybe it's Big Blue 2. But they've got some of those other games. It's possible. My face is shiny. It's gorgeous hair. Look at that. No, I'm just kidding. I think something's up with my camera. It's the first time I'm using this camera with this laptop. So I got to make sure that, I don't know, something's different. Something's different. It's a better laptop, so maybe it's got the horsepower to push it. It takes a lot of horsepower to make this look good. Trust me. So what else is out there? Well, I think that this is something that's been talked about asked about. I think that there's more meat on the bone. I think there's more going on here than meets the eye, and it's a Street Fighter Alpha cabinet. Street Fighter Alpha cabinet has got to be coming. I think there's enough there to where it can be its own cabinet. And I bring up this PlayStation 2. I have this game here. It's the Street Fighter Alpha Anthology. You've got I think you have 4 games in the anthology, in the franchise, in this whole series. It is CPS2 / CPS3, I think. So we know they can definitely pull this off. It's a great bunch of games. It's a lot of fighters. And in the anthology that they came out with for PS2, I think this could have been PS2 only. I'm not sure if it made it to Xbox. But they also included Gym Fighter, which was called Pocket Fighter when it made. I'm sorry, yes, Super Gym Fighter Mini Mix was called Pocket Fighter. Excuse me, when it made it to home consoles. But in the arcade, it was Super Gym Fighter, and it was basically baby versions of Street Fighter characters. It's a great list. It'd be a great addition, and it would round out that cabinet nicely. You got 5 games. There you go. I always like to see one that's just a little bit different, And I think Gym Fighter, Pocket Fighter, whatever they call it, they're probably going to call it Gym Fighter because that's the arcade name. I think that would work well with this, kind of round that out, a little bit more fun, a little bit more silly, and kind of a precursor to Marvel superheroes with the whole gym thing going on. But that would be a great list of games. I think a lot of people have been jonesing for a Street Fighter Alpha cabinet. I definitely like that version of Street Fighter graphically, and I like the way it plays a lot better. It really ties into what they've done with their crossovers with Marvel. And I think that there's a lot of hints here. I think it's more than meets the eye. It's not a Transformer reference. That's something else. I think we see some hints at this when you look at what they've done with the announced Pac-Man Legacy cabinet. Look at this thing. I think you see some of the design cues that could easily be transferred over to a Street Fighter Alpha cabinet. If you look at this design, you see the notchback. I've got the arrow over here on the Pac-Man cabinet. They kind of have a simulated sort of notch in the back there. It kind of juts out. It's really just an exaggerated part of the side panel. And if you've opened up these arcade cabinets, they're not, they're deep, but it's not out of necessity. That's just to mimic the size of the cabinet. The components inside are very slim. The PCB is mounted to the back of the LCD. Really, you could probably make this thing, you could probably take 8 inches out of the entire width, depth of the cabinet, and you'd be fine. No problem. So I think you could easily mimic some of these styling cues. Like you see this big notchback on the side of the Street Fighter Alpha cabinet to your right. So you could definitely do that. And this control panel already sort of juts out in a way that we haven't necessarily seen before. We've seen the control panel sitting on top of the side panels, keeping it sort of in line or flush with the outside of the cabinet itself, but they're sort of jutting it out a little bit. You could see that. You could easily mimic what we see over here on the right with the Street Fighter Alpha cabinet. And maybe you take this design and you accommodate, I've got the yellow circles there, the sort of 45-degree cuts they have. You could definitely do that. So I think that we could, I think they could easily pull this off. The look of the cabinet could definitely be mimicked for sure. That would not be a problem. And then the games are going to run like fine. I don't think there's going to be any issue there whatsoever. It's laid out for them, really. So let's move on to something else. Three. I think it's 3. There's 3 requirements. I think you got to have some diversity within your arcade, your own home personal arcade to really call it an arcade. You don't just want to have 3 driving cabinets. You don't just want to have 3 fighters, and you don't want to have just 3 shooters, but you would like to have one of each, right? When we talk about shooters and what we can do and what's coming out, I think a lot of people assume House of the Dead. If you've watched this channel for any amount of time, you know that I've seen some leaked, not just, there were mock-ups of the cabinet, of the House of the Dead cabinet. It was basically just based on what they did with Big Buck Hunter. So I think they're headed in that direction. They're at least testing that out to the point where they actually tried out some of the graphics and wanted to get a feel for the way that looks. I think House of the Dead is probably a given. House of the Dead doesn't require any kind of weird mechanic. You could get away with the guns, and that's pretty much it. But there's another game that had a little bit of a gimmick, a little bit of a separate mechanic that I think we could see. I think it's possible. Yeah, I'm talking about Time Crisis. Time Crisis was a game that was not just your typical shooter. For a lot of, for most part, I think you could say that it was, but they had a different mechanic. They had a little foot pedal. It was a way to duck and cover, right? You could take cover by pressing the pedal, and then you could let off, and it was time to go, right? You could take cover, take a break, take a breather, and then go. That was something we never saw with any on the rails shooter at the time. Yeah, C-Town, you're talking about Time Crisis. I'm sorry. Yeah, Time Crisis. It's. I mean, with the exception of being a single player cab, which we see here, I think that we could definitely make a cabinet. I say we. RK1UP could make a cabinet, and they could definitely pull off this same feel. You have your light gun, which we know they've done in 2 iterations now. You know, we got the big buck hunter shotguns. We got the T2 guns that are full auto, and they have the force feedback. Nice to see. I saw on Michael B actually pointed it out on the live stream, is that you can actually disable the force feedback. I can't wait to look into that and see if that, because that could get annoying overall. But if you're looking at Time Crisis and you're looking at this cab style and you're looking at the components, I mean, when you whittle this down, what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about pretty much a whole bunch of stuff we've seen before, right? If you look at, obviously, Big Buck Hunter and those guns, it's going to be a little bit different than what we see with T2. But I think overall, if you want to look for a cabinet that's going to overall, I mean, it's going to really mimic the Time Crisis vibe, right? It's going to give you that look. I think you want to look to the Ridge Racer cabinet on the right. Now, I want to highlight the Big Buck Hunter on the left because I think we're going to get a 2-player version. I don't think they're going to come out with Time Crisis and make it a single-player experience. I just don't think they're going to do that. I think that they know that there's probably more money in a 2-player cabinet, and I'm going to have to agree with them. You can still play single-player, obviously, but to have the ability to play 2 players, you can't deny that. So I think we're definitely going to see a 2-player version of this cabinet. So you'll see the 2 guns on the left, similar holsters, maybe. Not necessarily the big speaker in the middle. I think it's specific to Big Buck Hunter. But you're going to have a couple holsters sort of in the middle for your pistols. And then you look to the right. So you got the marquee of the Ridge Racer, which is all Namco. It's all the same family. So they got the overall, the shape is there. Obviously, no steering wheel, obviously no shifter. That's where the guns would go. But if we're talking about mimicking that mechanic of the foot pedal, they already do that. They've done that with Outrun, and now they're doing it here with Ridge Racer. I think you have one panel that folds out with 2 pedals, 1 for each player. I think that 2, there's not enough. If you look at the riser, there's not a ton of room for 2 separate panels that would fold out. So I think we're talking about 1 single panel that folds out, 2 pedals mounted on this panel, big gap in the middle, so we're not stepping on each other. And I think that's how you do it. I think if you look at the cabinet on the right-hand side and just imagine with your mind's eye a couple pistols instead of that steering wheel, I think you got it. I think that's it. I think while House of the Dead may be almost a damn reskin of Buck Hunter, not taking away from House of the Dead, I'm just saying they could almost get away with that, right? I think the same could be said for Ridge Racer. You're swapping out the control panel, and instead of having, I mean, it already has 2 pedals on it, but you want to make that wider with 2 pedals that are the same size. But you're basically looking at, I think on the right hand, you're looking at that Time Crisis cabinet. I think that's it. So there's your shooter. There's your new shooter. And if John D's talking about height, we're going to have more than just 1 or 2 of these cabinets, of these types of cabinets. So we could very well see House of the Dead. I think we could see Time Crisis for sure. I think they could pull it off. Now, based on theory, based on what I see them doing right now, I think it's possible. I think it's very possible. So we've talked about shooters. What about that other component? What about the driver? Now, the driver, I don't have anything crazy to talk about here. I think that what they've done pretty much runs the gamut. If you look at the first game they came out with, it was Outrun, a arcade staple. Not a huge graphical challenge, but the challenge, I think, for RK1UP to prove to us was they could pull off the steering wheel, the shifter, and in that other iteration, the seated form factor didn't really work out so well. I think if you're a little kid, that's great. I actually have footage. I know a guy who bought one specifically for his young daughter. She's 10 years old. Christmas morning, she wakes up, opens up presents, and this thing, he assembled it for. She played that thing from 6:30 until about 9:30 when he sent me the video. It was a perfect size for her. She loved it. Full-grown man, not so much. But the last piece of that puzzle was the pedals. Would they hold up? I think that's been a point of contention. I think that's been a big point of concern talking about Ridge Racer, because of all the possible control issues, I think the pedals, that was probably the main one. That was the biggest complaints I think that we saw out in the community, was definitely the pedals being an issue, the pedals being a problem, which makes sense. You're stomping on the gas, you're stomping on the brake. You could see where that could go wrong, right? That could go really bad. From what I understand, from what we've heard from John D, is that these pedals for the Ridge Racer cabinet are going to be better springs, better materials, better. We will have to wait and see. I will have one. I will give you my honest opinion about the pedal feel and give you any kind of scientific data that I can possibly come up with. How much pounds per square inch it takes to push the pedal. I don't know. We're going to figure something out. So I guess my main point is going to be, we've seen Outrun to Ridge Racer, kind of a big gap when you're talking about when these games came out. I think it's like a 10-year gap, 12-year gap between when these games came out. I think we're going to see them return to an older game when it comes to a driver. I think we could see Road Blasters is one of my personal favorites. I love it because you're not just a steering wheel, you got a yoke, like Star Wars right here. You're going to have a yoke because you want to shoot machine guns and launch missiles, which is kind of awesome. That's what you want. So we had Outrun with the standard steering wheel, the standard setup, simpler graphical game. You've got Ridge Racer, rumble steering, 3D, full-on 3D, game. So there's that. I think they're going to swing back to the old school stuff. That's just my opinion. So I'm talking about Road Blasters. I'm talking about Spy Hunter. I'm talking about Pole Position. Older games that you could easily emulate, but maybe they require a little bit more. Spy Hunter and Road Blaster specifically because of the added gun mechanic. It's an added, thing there, So I think that could be really cool. But I think they'll go old school. If they just release one, it'll be an old school game. If they release two, I think everybody knows John D loves Daytona. Here's what I think about Daytona. And here's another reason why I'm saying that I think that we're going to see a Road Blasters, which I love. We're going to see a Spy Hunter, which I love. I like Road Blasters better. I think they're waiting to get online co-op play or online play right for Daytona. I think they're trying to do a couple things here. I think they're trying to, let's get the Wi-Fi head-to-head gaming experience for a driving cabinet right, and we're going to get it right with Daytona. So I'm talking about Wi-Fi. I'm talking about up to, I don't know, let's say 6 players at a time can race each other. It's a different type of online structure, whereas now you have lobbies, you have head-to-head, and that's it. And you have multiple rooms, each room containing 2 players. But they have spectate mode. I definitely see how they could make this work. Latency could be an issue, but we're talking about punches and kicks and fireballs over here in a road racing game like Daytona. We're just talking about going around a track and maybe collision mechanics, hitting each other. So I think they're waiting to get that right. If they can't do it with online, I think we could see the first cabinet that we link together with a cable. It's not going to be a requirement, but I think that if they can't get the Wi-Fi right for whatever reason, they're going to say, okay, damn it, we don't have the infrastructure, whatever it is. We can't get that right for whatever reason, but we're going to have a dongle. We're going to have a cable. It's going to be included with every cabinet you buy. And you're going to be able to physically plug this cabinet into this cabinet, and you can put them side by side, and now you can race with each other. That would be awesome. That would be badass. Yes, it requires the purchase of 2 cabinets, which is the hard sell, which is why I know they're focusing on the Wi-Fi. I know they're trying to get that right first. But if that doesn't work, what do? Well, I mean, listen, a close runner-up would be physically linking the cables together. Physically link them together. Link cables. Linking them up. You can buy several. You can buy more than one, and you can plug them in. I think that's what we're looking at when it comes to racing games. When we're talking about Daytona specifically, I think that's the holdup on Daytona. Not graphically. Not even Sega. They've got a decent relationship with Sega from what I see, from what we've seen with releases so far. They've come out with a couple Sega cabs. And I think that I think it's going to happen. So that's where I think they're going to go with as far as driving games. That's where we're at on the driving games. Waiting for online. Online's the big thing. Online's the big thing. I think that they've got to be toying with the idea of linking two cabinets together. There is a situation where you don't have Wi-Fi in your basement. You don't have good Wi-Fi in Alaska, parts of Canada. Rural areas in the States still don't have good internet access. But they would love to buy two cabinets, plug them in together, and race each other. It's rare. But listen, I've got family members that live down in Deep East Texas, boy, and they don't have good internet. They don't have good, solid, fast, high-speed internet. So streaming a movie online isn't an option for them. You think they're going to be able to connect head-to-head and do Daytona with somebody else? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not in the cards for them. They need to move. But since they're not going to move, what do? There's a market for that. Physically linking cabinets together is a feature I think they need to explore. And I think if there's any cabinet they're going to do it with, it's going to be this cabinet. But I could see them doing that with fighting games. What about more than one Time Crisis cabinet? I mean, there's possibilities there. So that's what I think we're going to see as far as driving cabinets. It's 8-bit. Okay, listen, I didn't say it was financially wise. And I don't think they'll be $1,000. I think they have to stay under 700, obviously. But that's still $1,400, right? Two Daytonas for over $1,000 each. How many of us would buy more than one of the same price? If there was okay, bear with me. Buy one at full price and get the second one for 75%. It's 25% off. I don't know. Something. It's possible. It's possible. I think they're making enough money per cabinet that I think there's some cats out there that would do that. I really think there's some people out there that would buy two cabinets. You're looking at a guy who bought two cabinets of the exact same type, not to link together, but to mod. I bought two of these X-Men versus Street Fighter cabinets so I could mod them. That's what I did. One turned into the Alien versus Predator cabinet that I'm very fond of and I love and very proud of, and the other one turned into the 6-player X-Men cabinet. So they didn't remain the same, but I did buy two of the same. Now, to be fair, we're talking about $350, $400 versus $700. So I see your point. RK1UP also needs to see your point. You can't go asking $1,000 and then including the link cable feature. So if they can't hit that mark, they pursue the Wi-Fi and they work really, really hard to get that right. I think it's very possible. I think it can definitely happen. And by the way, Nate UT says I'm buying 8 of them. He's gonna listen. We are not sane people. We are listen to what we do. Talk about first world problems. We are buying miniaturized 3/4 scale arcade cabinets to put in our home to replicate an arcade. We're not rational people. Anybody else would just go get a PlayStation or an Xbox and just download arcade games for Steam or wherever and just call it a day. No, we are not well. So, our enabler is RK1UP. So Nate, I don't think you're exaggerating. You might, maybe you won't buy 8. You might buy 4. But you'll buy more than one. Because I feel you. Right there with you. Right there with you. I might, if Alien versus Predator comes out, I might buy 2 and just keep one in the box. Even though I built my own. Damn. It's because I'm not right. Okay. Listen, the next one we got to talk about. You know, if you watch my channel for any length of time, you know I cannot believe we are not here yet. This company is not progressive enough. We have not, it's not inclusive. How dare they marginalize an entire segment? Well, it's not really a segment, it's an arcade genre. And of course, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. If I can find the slide. What did I do? There it is, right here. I'm talking about flight games. Flight games. I think, well, I've talked about this before on the channel. I think Air Combat 22, which eventually became Ace Combat, Namco's flight game, might be the first one we see. Because I think that they've obviously got a Namco thing going with Ridge Racer coming out. And I think that that's the same. The system, the Namco System 22 is the same thing that Ridge Racer runs on. Excuse me. The game Air Combat 22 is part of that. So I think we might see that before. I don't think that the control panel would be radically different than what we've seen before. Excuse me. But I think we're going to see this. I think we're going to see this. Maybe it's just what I want to see. If we're talking about arcade classics, arcade staples, we had Sega's Outrun. What about Sega's Afterburner? Now, we're all familiar with the one you sit in and it moved around and your mind exploded because it was awesome and you were Tom Cruise and you were in Top Gun flying on an F-14. God bless America. You had a need for speed. I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about the stand-up version, and we're looking at it right here. This provides Arcade 1-Up with an opportunity to give us yet another unique experience. Without the fully moving cabinet, we're talking about a flight stick game. And no, I'm not talking about another Tron stick mounted on a flat surface. I'm talking about this game. This is a different mechanic altogether. I think we see them branching out. We've got light guns with force feedback. We've got rumble steering with the Namco Racing Legend Ridge Racer. Is it possible? Could we see this? I think that for the most part, the cabinet shape is not a huge departure from what we've seen them do before. Kind of got the Ridge Racer kind of look, right? Big Buck Hunter, same sort of big, tall stand-up. Look at T2, very tall stand-up cabinet. The difference would be here is this interface with the flight stick. You're talking about not just the stick, we're talking about elevation, swinging left and right. That mechanic, getting that functionality correct would be key, but it would be badass. This would be absolutely amazing. And it would be a very valid, much deserved first entry into the Arcade 1-Up flight stick genre, right? It's the one niche they haven't filled. You got to do it. Come on, baby. Let's make this happen. If we're talking about flight sticks, flight stick games, I think Afterburner is iconic. It's because I think it's that mental connection we make with Top Gun. Come on, one of the biggest, listen, when you think about movies featuring aircraft, Top Gun is up there. The iconic Tom Cruise performance. That's and the fact that Afterburner is an F-14 Tomcat. That's it. That's it. You're there. So I think that this is where we need to go. I hope this is what we see first. We could see the Air Combat 22 Ace Combat cabinet. That could definitely come next. They've got that license. I think they're in that same wheelhouse. But this is what I want to see. Now, if you look at the Ridge Racer control panel on the left, as well as the Outrun cabinet, we've seen the shifter, high-low, sort of the same thing with a thruster. Maybe you change the handle a little bit. Instead of just a stick, it's a T-handle. So you can thrust up, thrust down, and then the steering wheel is removed, and you have this kind of weird mechanic because it was a lever that moved up and down, and then it also went left and right. And on top, you had the button. Machine gun trigger, missiles for the top button. That's what you do, right? If they can get that right, damn. And unfortunately, you're looking at two games? Afterburner and Afterburner 2. Afterburner 2 was not a completely different game, more of just like an expansion pack, but it would be two different titles you could have on the same cabinet. It's going to be primarily an Afterburner cabinet. Not a bad cabinet. Not a bad cabinet at all. So I think a flight stick game is coming this year. I think we're going to see it finally. I think Ace Combat edges it out as far as likelihood. Afterburner needs to happen first, though. Arcade Classic, arcade staple, needs to happen. Another $2 super chat from Hobby Hands. Man, come on, you're burning through your cash already. It's not even Friday. What are you doing? You got a long week, brother. Fox, got to walk the dog. Glad you're back later. Walk that dog like it owes you money. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for the $2 super chat. I really do appreciate it. Got to hit you with a little something else. And I don't know if did I tell you to bundle up before and get a sweater, or was that somebody else? But you might want to take it off because it's going to get warm. I didn't want to pay full price for Killer Instinct, but I want that cabinet. Just couldn't do it. They hit me for $1,400 already with the two cabinets. Don't say that too loud. My wife is in the other room. It won't end well for me. And looks like my buddy has shown up. $4.99 super chat. Sorry I'm late, Fox. It's the wifey's birthday. So we went to dinner with the fam. A1 up. Give us new titles. You are spending time wisely. That is more important. But thank you so much for carving out a little sliver of time to swing by my little chat and say hi, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. And where is it? Here you go.
Can't you do any better?
This is the overlord!
Thank you for the $5 super chat, man. And we are moving on. So, flight stick game coming. I don't want to see another Tron flight stick setup. I want to see something a little bit different. Speaking of something a little bit different, what else is out there? Yeah, Jason, I agree. Afterburner is a must-have. Retired Navy jet engine mechanic. I worked on Tomcats. This is my dream cab. And Top Gun 2 coming out. This has to happen. You bring up an excellent point. Top Gun 2 was supposed to come out last year, maybe even the year before. No, I think it was the beginning. I think it was the beginning of last year, I believe. Tom Cruise is back. Top Gun 2. The dude taught himself to fly a fighter jet. That's actually him in the cockpit of the fighter jet. And that would be an absolute perfect way to tie things in. We saw something similar with Mortal Kombat, the Mortal Kombat Legacy cabinet, and the movie being released. Not necessarily a direct tie-in, but they came out. It was pretty timely, right? Came out close to when the movie came out. This would be an absolute work of genius to have these things come out about the same time. RK1 up. I hope you're listening. A lot of great ideas happening in this chat. Make it happen. We're trying to make money for you. Just print the money. Make it rain. Make it rain. And while we're talking about rain, we're talking about weird control schemes, I got to bring something else to you. And it's the dual stick games. It's the king, in my opinion. Robotron set it off, but you and I both know that Smash TV made it a household name. Yes, the 90s, actually the 1990 classic. The game that was all about excess. If you talk about movies and tie-ins, Top Gun and Afterburner, you got to talk about, of course, the name just escapes me. Not Demolition Man, Other Man, the one in the 80s came out with the Thing. Arnold Schwarzenegger, somebody help me out. It's escaping me completely. It was a show about, come on, why am I forgetting this? Not Demolition Man. Running Man. I knew Man was in the title. So when you think about the movie Running Man, you think about the apocalyptic, crazy future that they predicted in the 80s. This was basically it. It was a TV show showcasing actual murder, brutality, and it was wonderful, and we loved it all. So the game came out years later. 1990 was like when it came out, and this game has that unique control scheme, the dual stick. It was a lot of fun. We saw it though. We've already seen it. This is not some wild, crazy, harebrained scheme that Fox has cooked up in his kitchen next to the meth. I keep the meth separate from my ideas so they don't contaminate each other. Moving on. We've seen the two sticks set up with the very limited Burger Time cabinet. Still blows my mind that this was this limited. 3,000 cabinets, 8,000 for the Marvel versus the Marvel Superheroes limited edition with the Sanwa controls. This was, less than half of that. 3,000 is crazy. But we've seen this before. Not so much, and for me, it wasn't so much Burger Time that did it for me. It was the fact that you had bad dudes on there. Karate Champ. To me, those two are much more, and it could just be my mindset when I grew up, when I was in the arcades. But Bad Dudes was just, come on, it was cheesy as hell. I'm bad. Oh, okay, we agree. You digital person, you're bad. Great. But it was, to me, I thought that made a little more sense. Maybe looking back at it now, historically, Burger Time is the better choice for the cabinet. But still, to have this games lineup, this games list with this unique control scheme, kind of crazy that we didn't see this after. We didn't see this in another version of the same cabinet. We didn't see a variant, maybe the Bad Dudes, maybe the Karate Champ. I think originally when we saw this, it was CES or E3. It was actually a Karate Champ cabinet. They turned it into the Burger Time super limited run, and I still don't get it. It's so unique. And obviously, you can have Robotron on here. Robotron was a one-player game though, so that would make it kind of weird. Maybe for the one-player experience, you take a stick from the first player and second player, and that's your controls. But so you can have Robotron on there, and you can have Smash TV on there. People, listen, a lot of people love this game. It's a lot of fun. It's crazy, and it's unique. And if we're talking about the arcade experience, we don't just want button mashers. We don't just want a standard 6-player fighter. We want something different. Shooters, racers, dual stick fighters, dual stick crazy money, blood, guts, and gore. That's it. I think that's exactly what we're looking for. It's exactly what we need to really divide up that space. Listen, if you've got limited space, you're down to 4 to 6 cabinets most. What are you going to get? If you got 6 cabinets, okay, I want one of those pinballs, and I want a racer, and I want a fighter, and I want a shooter, and what's left? Sports game. Hey, Smash TV. Dual stick, unique interface. It makes a ton of sense. It just makes too much sense. They've all look, left and right, you see Smash TV in the middle. The left is the Burger Time. On the right-hand side, you have right there, boom. That's the controller. It's the same damn control scheme. You just move the buttons for player 1 and player 2, and you're done. It sells itself. Come on, people. Come on. And yes, J America 15. Total Carnage is on this cab too. Boom. 3 titles, 3 amazing titles on the same cabinet. Who could ask for anything more? That's it. That's awesome. Think about it. I don't know. To me, it's just a no-brainer. I can't believe we haven't seen this yet. We'll see. But if we're talking about crazy, mad craziness, really dividing and changing things up, that's what you want to do. You want to change it up. You want to have your driver. You want to have your fighter. You want to have your flight stick. You want to have your shooter. And you want to have something else with a little bit different control scheme. Give me just one second. I'm trying this again. Come on, computer, don't fail me now. As long as I don't lose this, I'm good to go. So let me know what you think about that. I think it's genius. I think it has to happen. I think it needs to happen. Do I have any more slides to show you? Yes, we talked about that. We talked about the blizzard that has denied me my cabinets. It's very sad. Very sad. It's all very sad. It's not right. So that's a no-brainer. I see somebody else in the comments section. AWOL 101, what's going on? You are not the first person to say this, but I gotta highlight it. I want everybody in the comment section to know that I've seen it. I hear you. I love you. My heart's with you. I get it. Star Wars trilogy. May the 4th be with you. Listen, fewer games have such a great place in my heart as that. Give me just one second. Okay. Star Wars Trilogy is amazing. Star Wars Trilogy needs to happen. I've got the first one here. I think it's got to happen. It's got to happen. Will it happen? I don't know. But if John D is talking about hype this year, that's a real good way to do it. Okay, so I want to jump over real quick, looking over at the poll. Okay, I see it. I got 181 votes. Thank you so much to everybody that took the time to vote on this. 181 votes, and I see that 50% of you pre-order from Best Buy. Those that pre-order from Best Buy. So you might be in the same boat that I'm in, where you're checking your email, you're checking the Best Buy app, you're trying to figure out what the hell's going on with your pre-order. And you're struggling like me. It looks like we got 30% to do Walmart, 12% at Arcade One Up. And you know what? GameStop came in at a very distant 8%. So that is closed. Let me kill that out real quick. I got to check the settings. I wonder what is going on. I am lagging a little bit. Let me kill that. That is gone. So I think there it is. We've laid out some pretty good games. I think there's a big, wide swath of games out there still that they need to take advantage of. They have to take advantage of to really listen, if you're talking about hype, and that's what the man said. The man said hype. Next year's going to be hype with titles. To do it, it's not just going to happen with quantity. It has to be diversity. And in this context, diversity is not a bad word. The difference is the key maker. Difference in game style, difference in game control. You want some day one pre-orders, you got to hit all these notes. Stephanie hits the nail right on the head. You also got to come through with cabinets you announced a long time ago. What I've heard about Dragon's Lair and Space Ace is that they are going back to drawing board. The community was not receptive to the idea of the second screen being like your cell phone. We didn't like that. And so there was some cost there. They decided to go back to the drawing board and come up with something different. I think that is some of the delay. And if you couple that with everything else that I hope that they're trying to do with all these other form factors, I think that could be some of the delay, but I think they owe us an answer, right? Right, Steph? We need it. We got to have it. Because you put your best foot forward. I believe Arcade One Up does. They've delivered on almost every cabinet except that. Huh. Oh, would you look at that?
What the hell?
Yo, the sign is real simple, B. It says wrap it up.
We're going to wrap it up tonight with, I think, it's a tall order. It's an optimistic list. It's a all-encompassing list, but I think if you're talking about hype, if you're talking about titles that we want, titles we got to have, titles are going to be day one pre-orders, it's got to be something more than just more fighters. Listen, I mean, I love Neo Geo too, but if they come out with a Neo Geo cabinet, okay, it's another fighting game cabinet. It's only going to have 5 or 6 games on it. All Neo Geo made was a bunch of fighters. That would be kind of a tall order. If you come out with this Street Fighter Alpha cabinet, as much as I love Street Fighter Alpha, it's going to be another fighter. I got to really wonder if I'm even going to go for that with Marvel vs. Capcom out there. I don't know. But if we talk about something that's going to be that day one, got to go out and get, it's going to be something, first of all, that's different than what I have in my cabinet or what I have in my collection. You come up with a flight game. Nobody's got a flight game. You know why? Because you ain't made one yet. And no one else has either. So you do that. You come out with, I think you start with the flight game to lead off. Hey, we're entering that space. You come out with the dual stick game. You come out with, whether you reintroduce Burger Time with a bad dude skin, and it's widely available for everybody now, not just limited to 3,000, but you make it available to everyone, or you go full-blown Smash TV. I think that's where you start. And then maybe you say, hey, by the way, here's Pinball version 2. I mean, let's get crazy. Let's get nuts. You want hype? You're going to have to build it. Unfortunately, you can't go acquire hype. Hype has to be built. And it starts by laying the first brick. And you got to get started. I think some of us are excited what we see so far with the legacy cabinets being announced. I like the designs. I like the Wi-Fi being part of the package now. But none of those titles are new. And if we're talking about new titles, where are they at? It's February. Let's go. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. If you're catching this on the replay, let me know what you think about all the stuff we talked about tonight. Let me know, I don't know, your top 5. What is it you got to see from RK1 to keep you engaged in this whole 3/4 scale revolution? Or is the revolution dead? And what do you think about the pub table idea? Let me know about that. Might have been the Bourbon talking. Not exactly sure. Anyway, thank you for stopping by, everybody. Y'all have a blessed day, and I will see you